Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the invisible architecture of teamwork. We're digging into those hidden forces that make some teams absolutely unstoppable, while others, well, they just fall apart.
Seriously, think about it for a second. You've probably been on a team that just felt right. You know, a group project where everything flowed, or a job where you felt like part of a well-oiled machine. And I'm sure you've also been on the other side of that, the project that was like trying to herd cats. That's the difference we're breaking down today.
And look, understanding how teams really work isn't just some boring stuff for a business class. This is a core skill. It's going to help you work better with people, land amazing jobs, and hey, maybe one day lead your own teams.
So, let's just get the basic definition out of the way. A business group is just any bunch of people working toward the same goal. Simple enough, right? But as you're about to see, what's happening under the surface is way more complex.
Okay, so how do we start to wrap our heads around this? Well, here's a great way to think about it. Every single organization is like the human body. It has two systems running at the same time, a skeleton and a nervous system.
The skeleton, that's the formal stuff. It's the org chart you see on the wall. All those clean lines and boxes showing who reports to whom. It's designed from the top down for control and efficiency. But then you've got the nervous system. This is the informal, invisible web of friendships, inside jokes, and who you go to for help when you're really stuck. It bubbles up from the ground, and honestly, that's where the real culture of a company lives.
To put it another way, formal groups are the ones the company creates on purpose. We're talking about departments, project teams, committees. Everyone has a set role. Informal groups, though, they just kind of happen. They're the people who always eat lunch together, the friends you made at the company picnic. They pop up organically, all based on who you click with.
And of course, in the world we live in now, there's this third, hybrid category, electronic work groups. You know, the teams living on Slack or Zoom. Yeah, they might be a formal team assigned to a project, but the way they talk and work together, it's super informal, blurring the lines between the two worlds.
And all of this leads to this massive challenge for any leader, really. It's this constant tug of war between two powerful ideas, control and creativity. On one side, you've got this idea of bureaucratic management. This philosophy is all about the formal skeleton. The thinking here is that the best, most efficient way to get things done is with a super clear hierarchy and a lot of rules. The whole point is to create a predictable system that runs like a machine, minimizing all that messy human stuff. And then on the complete other side of the spectrum, you have social network analysis. This theory says, hold on, the social and psychological stuff is actually way more powerful than any org chart. It's all about understanding and nurturing that informal nervous system to make people happier, more innovative, and quicker on their feet.
And this is so relevant today. The legendary management thinker Peter Drucker said it best. With the rise of the knowledge worker, these informal networks are more critical than ever before. You can't just schedule a meeting for 2 p.m. and say, okay, have a breakthrough idea now, right? Those brilliant ideas usually pop up in those random, spontaneous chats that a rigid system just doesn't allow for.
Okay, so theory is great and all, but let's see how this actually plays out in the real world. We're going to look at two absolute titans of the business world, Shopify and Amazon.
These two companies are fascinating because they represent two totally different answers to the same question. What's the best way to organize people? Shopify basically built its entire company around empowering those informal networks, while Amazon became a master of the formal, machine-like structure.
For a long time, Shopify was all about its nervous system. They used these agile guilds and tribes to move incredibly fast and innovate like crazy. But as they grew bigger and bigger, that lack of structure started to cause problems. It got a little too chaotic. So recently, they had to do what's called a bureaucratic correction. Basically, they had to strengthen their skeleton by adding back more defined roles.
Now, Amazon is the complete opposite. They are the undisputed masters of the formal skeleton. Their famous two-pizza team rule is a perfect example. If a team is too big to be fed by 2 pizzas, it's too big, period. This lets them scale with unbelievable efficiency. But what's the catch? Well, when you have such a rigid structure, you can create silos. It makes it harder for those spontaneous cross-team ideas to bubble up through the nervous system.
So, what's the big takeaway here? It's not about choosing the network or the machine. It's not Shopify versus Amazon. The real goal is to build a system where that formal skeleton actually supports the informal nervous system instead of crushing it.
So what does all this mean for you? How can you actually take these ideas and use them to build and lead better teams yourself?
Well, it really boils down to 3 key things. First, your structure has to serve your strategy. There's no one-size-fits-all org chart. Second, the best leaders, they act as bridges. They use their formal power to make sure things get done, but they use their informal influence to get people to actually care. And third, remember that technology is a bridge to connect people, not just a tool to manage projects. And get this, the research is crystal clear on this. For virtual teams, the amount of trust between people is a way bigger predictor of success than any fancy software they're using. At the end of the day, the nervous system wins.
Now, looking forward, this whole dynamic is about to get a lot more interesting. We are right on the edge of a totally new era of teamwork, the rise of the human-AI hybrid team.
Think about it. AI is getting amazing at all the boring skeleton tasks, coordination, sending reports, analyzing data. And that doesn't replace us. It frees us up to double down on what makes us human. We're talking about the nervous system skills, mentorship, creative thinking, building real trust. A leader's job is going to shift from just directing tasks to actually cultivating a creative community.
And that brings it all back to you. As you go through your career, you're going to be a part of these teams, and eventually you're going to lead them. So the real question is, knowing about this delicate dance between the formal skeleton and the informal nervous system, how are you going to build the teams of tomorrow?